order the food, you cook the food, then the customer gets the food. We do that for 40 years, and then we...
So my first job taught me that I hate work. And this is kind of clickbait because I don't mean that I hate the act of working. In fact, I'm more of a dog where I enjoy the act of working itself. What I mean with work is, you know, this kind of bullshittery thing that we refer to as work, where you're forced to be there for 8 hours. But do you really work for 8 hours, or is it more, you know, you're fucking around for 6 hours and then only 2 hours out of the 8 is actual fulfillment? So my first job was at the supermarket, and pretty much what I had to do was just stack these shelves. I believe the right word for this is a shelf stacker, but the point is, I would say out of those 6 to 7 hours that I would be there, filling these stacks with meat, with vegetables, with cheese, with milk, with all that kind of stuff, I would do my actual task for, I would say, 2 to 3 hours. But then the vast majority of the day would be spent lifting crates or throwing away boxes or cleaning the floor. I would do all these mundane tasks, and you also kind of feel like a little fucking kid, I won't lie. Like at the time I was 20, I believe, or 21. And you're over here, you know, doing your task. So you just finished mopping the floor. And then you go to your manager like a good boy so he can give you another task, and it's just so emasculating. Like, it's just so, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's just me. Maybe other people don't have that. But I'm past the age of raising my hand and asking if I can go to the toilet. I'm way past that. I can't do that anymore. Now what's funny is that recently I've been reading a book called Bullshit Jobs, and it literally describes my issue with jobs in the market currently. It describes how the vast majority of jobs aren't really jobs. They're more like this adult daycare. And yeah, this job that I had at the supermarket, it was literally the same. But the thing is, this isn't the only job. I've worked other jobs, part-time and full-time. I've worked at the hotels. I've worked in customer service, which I'll get to later in this video. All these jobs have the same structures where you work for 2, 3, 4 hours. Maybe 4 hours is almost never, so let's say 3 hours. For 3 hours you do productive work and you actually feel like you're doing something for the company. But then the rest of those 5 hours is literally adult daycare. You're just spending time on your phone, scrolling memes, you're mopping the floor, you're doing anything but the main task. I really hated that part about being a wagee, is the fact that I couldn't just, you know, do my main task, because I don't know, it might just be me, but is it too much to ask for? If I apply for a job and I'm gonna, for example, do the dishes in a restaurant, is it too much to ask for that I want that to be my main task, that I want to do it for at least 50% of the time that I'm there? But that's not how reality is, though. The reality is every time you do these jobs, bro, literally for 1 or 2 hours you do your main task, and then for the vast majority of the day you are told to do all these bullshit tasks that literally some toddler can do. And I'm just questioning life as to why am I even doing these tasks. And yeah, that's honestly my biggest issue with these dead-end jobs, is that I don't do the work that I applied for the vast majority of the time. I don't know, it kind of gave me this realization that I'm probably never going to work these jobs. The second reason why I can't be a wagee is that there is no future. Now, the first thing that always scares anyone that when they go into these wagee jobs is that, you know, you see the 30-year-old or the 40-year-old there who's been working there for his whole life, and it kind of scares you because it makes you think, I don't want to end up like that. But that wasn't even the worst part of it. So when I worked at a supermarket, the worst part of it was the wage. I worked a minimum wage job, which, yeah, I get it, you know, it's a minimum wage job. You shouldn't expect to be spoiled, to be able to afford luxuries. Thing is, inflation has gotten so insane that when you work a minimum wage job, you're never going to be able to own a home. We didn't get a discount either at the grocery store. You know, I would assume, oh, if I work at this grocery store that I would get some sort of discount because I work there. Nope, fuck you. We don't give a shit about you. You're just some wagee, you're just some NPC. You have to pay full price for everything. I remember during one break I bought a bottle of water And I went to the cashier because I knew the girl that worked there. And I had this mindset thinking, oh yeah, she's gonna give me a discount because I work here. Or, she might even give me the bottle for free, right? Nope, I just had to pay the full price as if I'm just another customer. Even though I work at the company, even though I work at the supermarket, which, my point is, with such a low wage, with how high the prices have gotten, there's just no future behind these jobs. It's like, there's no wonder no one wants to do these jobs. All these governments, all these millennials, boomers complaining that Gen Z is lazy. Bro, imagine telling an entire generation that, when you work full-time, you're never gonna own a home, you're never gonna have family, you're never gonna have kids, you're never gonna go on holidays, you're never gonna have any, luxuries ever. Who the fuck would even work in the first place? Out of any generations, because I would know for sure the boomers wouldn't do the work themselves. If they were told from the start, if you work this job, you're never gonna own a home, they wouldn't do it either. But then, we're told to do all these slavery jobs for what? Because there's a funny thing, I worked a few months in that supermarket and I could buy a car with the money, but that was it. Literally, that was it. I couldn't do anything else with the money anymore. You would think, a few months of work is worth, you can go maybe on a short holiday, like a week. You can also get a car and you can also get some clothing. Nope, it was literally, I had to choose either the car or, the holiday and the clothing. But point is, it's just so little, it's not enough. It's not enough to sustain you. And I feel like this is the most devastating, especially if you work these jobs for years. Because I only did it for a few months, for 3 months, I believe, 4 months. But if you do this for years, it's even more devastating because here's the thing, right? I know a lot of people call job slavery these days, and I feel like it's kind of over the top, but the thing is, my definition of slavery is very different from most people. So most NPCs have this definition of, if you get paid, then you can't be a slave. The problem with this definition is that all the child workers in China aren't slaves either, they get paid 5 cents to make your clothing. What, you're telling me that's not slavery? That's just stupid argument. It's such an NPC argument I always hear. As long as you get paid, you're not a slave. Bro, it doesn't matter if you get paid. If 95% of your payment goes to all the costs, are you really getting paid? If you have nothing to show for it, then you're just being a fucking slave. It's literally no different than being a slave. If you work and you have nothing to show for it, so let's say you worked for a whole year, and after a whole year, you have nothing to show for it, then what's the point of working? What's the difference between you and a slave? It's just so mind-boggling that people can't see how these modern-day dead-end jobs are literally slavery jobs. It's literally the same. It's just that they put some number in your bank account and all of a sudden, I'm actually getting paid. I'm not a slave. And it's 90% of that goes to costs anyway. If you're living on your own, goes to rent, goes to electricity, to your car. So you have nothing to show for it. There's even people on my street, they're graduated, they're working full-time jobs now. They've been working for 3-4 years, right? So they have an advantage on me, technically, because I'm still in school. It's so depressing, man. These guys have been working for 3, 4, 5 years longer than me, right? I'm still in the education system. Guess what? They have nothing to show for it. They still live with their mom and dad. They still drive a basic car. And yeah, they have their little holiday and they can go out and buy beer, but are we really breaking our backs 40 hours a week just to afford beers? Is this the end game? I just can't stand the normies or the NPCs who are siding with these low wages, who are saying, but at least we're getting paid. Bro, it's bad, man. Realizing that I have basically no future if I stay here, it's bad, man. It really damaged my mental health, which is my third point that I want to get into. My mental health was in the fucking gutter when I was being a wagee. So before I applied at this supermarket, I saw the team, and all the people working there. And, from the outside, when you see all these people dressed with the same outfits and everything, you think that they're a team, that they know each other. I remember when I worked there, so this one girl had to, teach me the ropes and everything. And, call me misogynistic, whatever, but I've never liked when a girl had to teach me things. I've always preferred when a guy has to do it, because the thing is, bro, this girl was so weird. If I didn't do something well, or if I didn't know something well, she would have this weird giggle, And at the time, I wasn't an asshole yet, so I would allow that. I would just let it slide. But it annoyed me. I would go home and I would be annoyed because I'm like, why the fuck is this bitch laughing every time I make like a mistake? And that's just been my experience though with girls in general. Anytime a girl has to teach me something, so anytime I get a female authority figure, it's very toxic. I don't know why that is. Maybe I've just had always bad female authority figures in my life. But generally speaking, I would say like 80% of the men that I've had as authority figures in my life always taught me things in a better way. And yeah, this girl was just the first part of the whole dump of the whole shit that was the team, because she was like always giggling, laughing, whatever. Then I remember during breaks, it's a complete silence. That was another thing that I wasn't prepared for. I went into this break with the mindset of, oh, I'm gonna ask, how was your day? What are you gonna do? Instead, bro, I walk in the room, everyone's sitting on their phone, hunched over, scrolling Instagram, TikTok, like a brain-dead zombie. It's just so depressing, man. It's like, is this the team? Is this it? Like I said, before I worked there, I really thought, oh, we're a team. Because I did kind of have that feeling when I worked in a hotel, which was way back when I was like 12, 13, 14. But back when I worked in a hotel, I did at least have the feeling of, oh, we're a team, because I could get along with those people. We had our own inside jokes, we laughed, all that kind of stuff. But with the supermarket, everyone is so isolated, and it just feels like you're all forced to be there, but you don't want to be there, if that makes sense. Which, I guess at the end of the day, that's work. But at least you can sell the illusion that you try to make the best with what you got instead of being there all salty or silent. Now, last thing that being a wagee taught me is that time is money. Now, you've probably already heard of this generic quote, and so have I. But the thing is, you don't really understand this quote until you work. So after I left the job at the supermarket, I went to work at Amazon as a customer service. And this job paid actually really well because the requirement was that I had to speak English in a fluent manner. And I've pretty much always been good at speaking English. So I worked this job part-time, 24 hours. But the thing is, my law school was actually also starting. So I took this job during the summer. And I had this job for another 6 months. But obviously, once September hit, law school starts. So now I have law school plus the part-time job. And the amount of time I spent studying is, I would say, about 20 to 30 hours. It really depends if I have exams or not. But when you also add 24 hours on top of it, you easily get into the 40, even the 50-hour range. I remember this time went by so quick. Like, the crazy thing is, I really can't tell you much about what happened in my first semester of university because I spent so much time working. And when you just, when you study, work, like that's your life. You just study, you work, you sleep. Study, work, sleep. If that's your life, time flies so quick. And I remember those 6 months, bro. It just snapped by. Like, I literally don't remember anything from my first semester of university because if I wasn't studying, I was working. If I wasn't working, I was sleeping. If I wasn't sleeping, I was studying. It was just this vicious cycle of slaving away. And it just kills your perception of time. Everything just flies so quick because you keep doing the same mundane, boring shit every single day. And this resulted in my mental health that was already bad. It was just atrocious. Now, I wasn't depressed, I would say. I did have good levels of energy. But I definitely spent a lot of nights crying, which was very weird because it wasn't the same as depression. I feel like this was more burnout because it was usually at night. So before I would go to sleep, laying in my bed, I would just burst out in tears and I was always stressed. And obviously, when you're crying, you're not going to sleep well. So my sleep was also shit. And this, all in all, this just gave me zero energy to pursue anything in my life. I didn't have the energy to work out. I, at the time, wanted to start a YouTube channel, but I just didn't have the energy to do it. I also wanted to start writing, but just like with YouTube, I didn't have the energy to do it. And in the end, I just had these dead dreams. But the thing is, I couldn't accept that because it's so depressing, man. Like, I don't know about you, but I still have some copes. I still have some hopes in the back of my head that, hopefully, this law degree that I'm getting, hopefully this all works out, or hopefully this channel works out, or whatever it is, I have some hopes in the back of my head that maybe I'm gonna end somewhere, which I believe we all do. We all have some hope in the back of our mind, and that's what keeps us going in the day-to-day life. But the thing is, at this time, because I was so busy with work, with school, there was no hope. I was literally a wagee. You know all those videos you've watched of a wagee who just wakes up, work, sleep, wake up, work, sleep? That was me. For 6 months, that was all I did. I believe this is the most depressing part about being a wagee, is that there is no future, like I said earlier. You're just a cog in the machine. You're just part of a bigger system. You're part of this rat race, and knowing that, you know, this is it, it was bad, man. Now I realize this video is far more negative than the NEET one. I will say there are some benefits to being a wagee. You know, the first one obviously being that you have money. This obviously helped a lot because now that I'm a broke student, for example, I really look at the prices when I buy something. I really want the cheapest version of anything that I buy. Whereas back then, for example, you know, if I just needed pants, I'm just gonna buy myself some pants. I don't care if they're 40, 50, because I always had expendable income. I could buy myself a car, like I said, I bought myself a laptop, a new phone. Obviously, these are very good things about being a wagee, is that you have expendable income, you have a lot to buy. But the thing is this really worth it though? Because you're trading essentially time for money. Money we can always get, time you can't. Once the time is gone, it's gone. You know, those 6 months I spent slaving away at Amazon, that's gone forever. I'm never going to get that back. But the few thousand euros I made, I can always make that money when I get a law degree. I can always do that stuff. But those 6 months, they're gone. So I don't know if this is really a benefit because I value time more than money. But yeah, if I had to give one piece of advice after being a wagee, it's that I think everyone should be a wagee at some point in their life just to see all the negatives it gives you, and then based on that, you're gonna be more grateful in the future. You're gonna hopefully, you know, work harder. For example, if you're still in school. I am somehow grateful for being a wagee, even though those were some of the most terrible times I've ever lived. In a way, they made me work harder in school, which is also why I get higher grades and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I've been yapping for way too long, man. I feel like this video is already an hour long. Make sure to like, comment, all that kind of stuff. Other than that, man, that's the video.